Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of RaceSpotTV Friday Prime Time. Round number 5 of the Touring Car Challenge heads stateside. It heads to California, Long Beach to be exact, for some street racing action here on a Friday night. My name is Connery Maddock. I'm joined by the ever wonderful and ever present Stefan Schlacker for this one. This is shaping up to be an absolutely fantastic race here, Stefan. Of course, put touring cars on a street circuit and you never know what may happen.
Well, to be quite fair, Connery, you put TCRs on any track and you're never quite sure what will happen, except for knowing that you're gonna see some very great racing, and that's exactly what we're going to be in for. I'm quite sure of it.
Yeah, I think so too as well. Drivers out there just getting their first sort of out laps, first sight of laps in qualifying for the moment. Of course, this circuit, 11 turns, very tricky, very tight in a lot of places, as street circuits tend to be as well. As we get ourselves our live look then at the qualifying session going on for the moment. And well, we have quite a few big names as far as TCR is concerned, and as far as, well, just generally fast iRacers are concerned as well. As we'll bring that music down just a little bit more so you can hear the cars and hear our wonderful voices. But yes, Adecobo Lopez has turned up to the game here. Of course, he leads the championship. Well, he doesn't lead the championship. That was Redford leading the championship coming into this one. Cobo Lopez definitely within a shout at that one, though. We've also got George Simmons take themselves to the track there. We've got Redford, we've got Manu Lagos, so a lot of the top guys in the championship for the moment deciding to turn up to this round here at Long Beach. Should end up being a pretty intriguing race as a result, seeing all those very big contenders towards the front. But we've got a very wide spread in terms of the I ratings here today, his day, Stefan. Of course, we've got the 8,000 I rating of Adecobo Lopez. However, we do have some drivers down the field that are more like 2,500.
Yeah, and right now, after the first laps, Adecobo Lopez is not first. He's about 3/100th of a second behind Naveed Hussein in that number 4. So Hussein, a very great lap to begin with. Also, he with quite a good R rating, 6,955 to be precise behind that name. So even that 4 quite stocked, you can see, as George Simmons now goes past the start-finish line once again, as Lopez into first place, and George Simmons is continuing to be in third place, as that last lap was not better than his best already.
Was not quite good enough as Redford, well, gets demoted by Olago. Then Corey Preston, the number 10 car, goes up into second place with a fantastic lap. C license, 4,000 I rating, mixing it in with the top guys there. We've still got a handful of drivers not setting themselves times in qualifying, and in fact, I don't think they will set themselves times in qualifying. There's Hee-Jung An down on towards the pit lane. Of course, those of you that used to tune in to a RaceSpotTV broadcast of the AMX Esports Championship will know Hee-Jung An, of course, one of the quicker sim racers in South Korea. He's been able to manage to get himself inside of this split here, but unfortunately not a qualifying effort from him so far in this one. But as for now, 2 minutes left remaining. Of course, these drivers only get themselves a handful of laps to be able to get their lap times in here, and it's going to be a very short race indeed as well. So you really want to not make a mistake here, especially in qualifying, given the limited time in the race to try and recover positions.
Yeah, and especially a track like Long Beach, you know it's a very punishing track if you make even just the smallest of mistakes. So really have to be on top of your game 24/7 if you're at Long Beach. And it seems like George Simmons decides to do a little bit of picture taking there, because that is not a spot where you normally want to park your car.
No, it's not. As a little bit of a weird situation there. There's Will Redford continuing on his laps out there at the moment, lap number 3. So it's going to be not a real effort here from Will Redford potentially to get himself towards the well, get himself a little bit higher on the starting grid here today. I think pretty much everyone is sort of coming down towards the end of their laps now. So or rather, their allotted laps. So I don't think this qualifying order that you're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen is going to change all that much here in this one. We've got some qualifiers down towards the back of the order. There's Jack Johns, number 9 car, heading his way through at the moment. We've got, well, we've not got a single make race, shall we say here, Stefan. Yes, the Hyundai is the favourite and occupies the front 10 spots currently in qualifying. However, we do have a smattering of Honda Civics out there. We even do have an Audi. However, it hasn't set a qualifying time.
Yeah, we do have one Audi. I think that is of Emil Nielsen. But it seems like that number 18 car is a little bit questionable because Emil is not in the session right now. So it seems like we might only have a 19 car field, and that would mean no Audi.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. I was hoping to see all 3 manufacturers involved here today, but so unless Emil can get himself in the session, unfortunately, that will not happen. So time has expired here in qualifying, and well, that means we can indeed go over your starting grid for tonight's proceedings here in RaceSpotTV Friday Primetime. Adicopa Lopez on pole position. He's been a regular here on RaceSpotTV Friday Primetime, no matter what series we are deciding to broadcast on any given day. He starts pole position with Corey Preston in P2, Navid Hussain in P3 with George Simmons P4, Manuel Reolago P5 with Will Redford in P6, Brandon Roseborough in P7 with Guillaume de Oliveira in P8 with Kim Heo in P9. We've got Sandro Petruzelio in P10 with Joao Montino in P11, Wan Silin in P12 with Benjamin Gregory in P13. Jack John starts in 14th with Ben Abdelali there in P15 with Dylan Frechtel starting 16th. We've got Kevin DePau in 17th and Taylor Lane in P18. Those drivers that did not set themselves any qualifying time, well, they start at the very final row of the starting grid. Hee-Jung An and Emil Nielsen will start all the way back there. Nielsen, well, he hasn't even connected up to the session yet, so he's got about a minute for him to take himself to the starting grid, but if he's unable to, we will start with 19 instead of 20 cars as we get ourselves all set for the racing here today then at Long Beach. It's a long run down in towards turn number 1, but that turn number 1 and first sector complex can be very, very tricky indeed. We are racing here at Long Beach then, as we did not hold for that missing car on the starting grid. Adicopa Lopez is able to get away well. Then Corey Preston second place, trying to fight with Navid Hussain side by side down in towards turn number 1. Copa Lopez might be coming under threat as Hussain sends it down the middle, well, down the inside, excuse me, and he's able to get himself the race lead. A little bit of a stack up behind though, as Reolago and Corey Preston trying to fight through the fountain section. Now there's a bit of contact. Preston sent into the middle of traffic. This might be a huge, huge one, but he's able to recover it. Doesn't spin all the way around. So important for that mid-pack, but there's still bits of contact as now. Has Preston got damage? Yes, he has. It wasn't a slowdown penalty. That right front is looking worse for wear, as we've had a pretty chaotic start to our 15-minute event.
Yeah, Corey Preston already out of this race after just 3 corners. How unlucky can you be? Right front suspension is completely shattered. So Corey out of this race already.
Absolutely, as we get ourselves the run down the seaside way for the first time in this event, heading their way down through turn number 9 into that sort of tight and twisty final sector here at this race circuit. It'll give us a little bit of time just to take ourselves a look back at the move for the race lead in the early portions of the race. Navid Hussain, well, he didn't get himself the best of starts here, but look at this. He's going to just send one down the inside of Adicopa Lopez at turn number 1, late on the brakes. Remember, cold tyres, cold brakes in this situation as well. Adicopa Lopez will let him go through, and the 4 now leads the race at the end of lap number 1. We can cycle ourselves back to see all the confusion that happened back here with Corey Preston getting turned around, playing ping pong with a couple of cars inside and outside. Luckily, that didn't end in the track blockage, Stefan.
Yeah, that was extremely lucky, and then also realizing Corey Preston there that his suspension is completely broken, pulls over to the right side. Great move by him, and lets the field go past. Now, we're looking here at Hee-Jung An for one very interesting reason. I don't know what happened here, but out of the next corner, we're gonna see quite a peculiar incident between himself and that Honda Civic Type R to the inside.
Let's have a look then. This is oh, it's just a weird bit of contact coming down the straight. There's a bit of door barging between the two of them. And oh, that one's a protest, I'm afraid. He Jung-an getting right into the back of, I think it was Jack Johns there. Yeah, it was Jack Johns getting sent into the barrier. That's not how you want to fight down the back straight, I'm afraid. We expect a little bit more in terms of the behavior for the drivers here in the top split. And I wouldn't be surprised if iRacing's very own Nim Cross looks at that after the race.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Like, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, pretty much the rage quit into the other car. Yeah, I don't know what really went down there with He Jung-an, but that has been an incident. By the way, I have to say I'm very impressed by that Honda, because Jack Johns is still running after that impact.
Yep, there he is, circling around at the very back. These TCR cars, they're built as strong stuff. Unfortunately, Corey Preston's wasn't quite built of the same stuff, as he had a huge amount of right front suspension damage that puts him out of the race. He is the only retirement in this one so far. Johns did head his way down on towards the pit lane for a handful of seconds of stationary time. Maybe a little bit of damage repaired there in that situation. Not all that much, however, but maybe just enough that he's able to continue to circulate. 11 minutes left to go then. Hussein still leads after getting that position on the race start. Adecopa Lopez in second place here. And, well, he's continuing to keep track of Hussein here, not letting him get away in the front of the field whatsoever, keeping that gap within a second. So this is kind of all that Copa Lopez needs to do here at the moment. By the way, He Jung-an is still racing out there. Of course, didn't get too much damage to that Hyundai Elantra. He's trying to fight with Dylan Freckleton, or rather trying to defend from Dylan Freckleton in the number 11 car. Oh, what's happened to Simmons? He's pitting.
Oh, Simmons pitting?
Not entirely sure what has happened there, but George Simmons coming down on towards the pit lane for unknown reason. Not seeing anything on the... he
had damage.
Oh yeah, he did have a little bit, didn't he?
So something happened to that left front. I thought it did look wrong, but I didn't really make it up, because obviously that's a very dark front bumper. So something happened to George Simmons. Maybe it was one of the curbs, maybe just a wall strike for George Simmons in that number 2, but obviously from P number 5 all the way down to second last place, no, even last place.
Interesting indeed. There's a little bit of a fight going on deeper in the pack, though. This is the battle for 9th between Benjamin Gregory and He Jung-an now. Freckleton dropping off the back of this particular battle, so he's actually got his own situation to contend with back there, with Wan-Si Lin trying to squeeze his way by. Here comes He Jung-an then down the inside of Gregory at the end of his seaside way into that final sector, coming up swinging through turn number 10, and then winding it, slowing it down into that hairpin of turn number 11. You can get the traction out of here. You're looking pretty good down the pit straight to be able to make a move in towards turn number 1. We'll see who gets the best run right now.
And in the background, Chi Link also was successful in overtaking the number 11, so even they stayed nose to tail.
So here we go. Here is the battle for 9th place as He Jung-an. Oh, just a little bit sketchy on the brakes. Almost hits the back bumper. He somehow found an overlap though into the fountain section. The commitment on the brakes from He Jung-an to go around the outside. Oh, this all gets too close for comfort. The walls come up on you so quickly here at this circuit, swinging their way through now. And, well, Gregory fends off the hard-charging He Jung-an, perhaps a little bit too hard-charging compared to the incident a little bit earlier on. And now it's backing them up into this traffic.
Yeah, and even as I said, Dylan Freckleton is now coming, and there's an aggressive cut to the inside from He Jung-an. But once again, the inside belongs to Benjamin Gregory for the next turn, which is a right-hander. And here comes the 11.
Here we go, Dylan Freckleton definitely involved in this one right now. He will try and capitalize on this battle in behind between Wan-Si Lin and Sandoro Pezzolo as well. All trying to gain positions in this situation as they have been back to
contact.
There might have been a little bit of contact there for Wan-Si Lin, getting forced wide, but he'll continue to try this whole side-by-side situation through the hairpin. He's trapped on the outside here. Whether or not he got a good run off the final corner, I don't know. Yes, he did. So the 7's able to hold on to position for now, but this is certainly not done just yet here, Stefan. We were afraid at the end of last week that we might see some dull racing here at Long Beach due to the nature of the circuit. It seems like it's anything but.
Yeah, it was nearly a guessing game for everybody if there's going to be a dull race or one of the races that we're seeing before us right now. And quite honestly, this is what I prefer to a dull race. Yes, we have had action. Yes, we had a little bit of the aggressive moves, but it's all well within limits right now. And Hye Jung-an now up to 9th place after that. A nice overtake on Benjamin Gregory.
Yeah, Gregory gets himself, well, he loses the position to Hye Jung-an, and Dan now trying to run into the sunset, trying to catch the 3-second gap up to the next competitor. There's a bit of contact. Oh, Prezziello down the inside of Freckleton. Freckleton forced almost out into the barrier and loses a couple of spots for good measure as well. Let's take another little look at that one.
Yeah, maybe a little bit late on the brakes for the DH driver in that yellow Hyundai. Gonna have to see. Feel like he did hit the apex there, number 8. So goes to the inside of the Honda Civic, and yeah, just a little bit too late on the brakes there, locks it up ever so slightly. No tire smoke, but you were able to see how that car did completely freeze up on him. No input was being taken from the car, and that's what led to that little bit of contact between the 8 and the 11.
There's the battle for the race lead between Naveed Hussain and Ade Copa Lopez. It's gap starting to come down just that little bit by bit. So Copa Lopez keeping himself in this one. He's not going to rush it though. You can't rush a move here at Long Beach whatsoever. If you've got to plan it right, you've got to make sure you have the room to do so as well. Otherwise, you might find yourself up into either a tyre barrier or a concrete wall. But for now, Hussain pretty comfortable in the race lead after getting that on lap number 1 with a fantastic pass into turn 1. In fact, so Hussain looking to try and score the win here today. He's got 5 minutes to work with, so you know that's the benefit of the short races. You know they're over and done with pretty quickly, and well, if you're in this position, you want it to end sooner rather than later. Let's just say that. But for now, this is, well, apart from a couple of battles at the very back of the field, this is kind of your closest fight now. Down the front straight they go. Copa Lopez not quite as quick through sector 3 compared to Hussain. Of course, they're both in the same car and therefore also have the same setup. Remember, the setups are identical here with the fixed setups in and amongst the manufacturers. Of course, the if you're in a Civic and if you're in a Hyundai, obviously you have a different setup. But all the setups are same within the same manufacturer. That's how the multi-class fixed setup works. So this is all really down to the drivers.
Yeah, and you know, I've been keeping track a little bit of the lap times that Hussain and Copa Lopez are doing, and it is really interesting. Copa Lopez, he's not putting out the outright fastest laps between those two, but he's more consistent right now, and that's why he's still able to keep somewhat close to Hussain up in front. But the trend most definitely is in favor of Naveed Hussain in that number 4. And you can see how ever so slowly this gap is growing.
It is starting to look like that now, isn't it? There was a brief moment that you would have thought Copa Lopez was closing in. In fact, he's made a little bit of time back on this lap. So we simply can't count out Ade Copa Lopez. We can never count out Ade Copa Lopez, ever. You know, he has over 8,000 iRating for a reason. You know, he's very much a regular here in the RaceSpotTV Friday primetime broadcast. No matter what series we decide to take on for the current season, it seems like Copa Lopez wants to come and join us, which we very much appreciate. But this is a tricky situation for him, because usually when we're commentating on him, Stefan, he's off to the front running away from the field. At least that was the case in the past couple of seasons. Now he has a job to do.
Yeah, most definitely Copa Lopez has finally a job to do. And you know, the Achilles, if you really want to name it like that for Naveed Hussain right now, is that hairpin, that last turn. That's where he's losing all of that time to Copa Lopez if he has a slower lap. And that's right there. Cobo Lopez last lap gained 3/10 just through that hairpin, and that's why he was able to be those 3/10 ahead of Naveed Hussein at last lap. So they continue to be close because of Hussein's inability to be very good through that hairpin, and that's just seemingly that big make point for Cobo Lopez, because look again once, he is right underneath that real wing.
Yeah, here's the onboard with Cobo Lopez's Hyundai then, as he'll try and sin that slipstream as much as possible coming down the pit straight. Not that that is particularly strong here in the TCRs, it isn't really. You can get a little bit of time, but it's not the huge advantage that it can be in some other types of cars. But every little helps in this situation for Cobo Lopez to try and keep himself close to make a move potentially on a final lap sort of situation. We will get one more lap after this one. It's going to be a little bit marginal, but that's what is being predicted at the moment. And well, Cobo Lopez running out of time to try and get this one done. But there's a close battle developing just inside the top 10 between Hee-jung An and Kim Heo. So that's the 14 and the 17 for P number 8 there. That might become a thing at the end of this event. But for now, we are focusing on these leaders because, well, they've got about a sector and a lap to run.
Hee-jung An, by the way, is right now the third fastest car out there on track, and he's sitting in P9, just to give a little bit of an identification of how fast he really is.
Yeah, his iRacing doesn't tell the full story, does it? 2700s and setting third fastest sort of laps here in this stand of the field. That's pretty good. Of course, had a behavioural issue a little bit earlier on as he does get the pass done over Heo. But here we go, on to the final lap then. Cobo Lopez 4/10 of a second behind Naveed Hussein. What can Cobo Lopez do in this situation? Can Hussein hold on to a well-gained race lead? He did it all on lap number 1, turn number 1, but now he has to keep the number 1 car behind in this final lap. There's the confirmation of the white flag final lap. And through the first sector for the first time, Hussein continues to keep Lopez behind. But yeah, this is simply not done. It might have to be ascended to 9 though. Down into this middle sector then, swinging their way through turn number 6. Turn number 8, you can see the differing lines from both of the drivers being taken through there just to try and find every single advantage possible. And now onto the back straight, onto EC Sideway for the final time. Cobo Lopez trying as he might to try and close in, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to be able to make a move on the brakes in towards turn number 9. And now the overtaking opportunities are limited unless you want to go for the multi-send in towards the final corner. It might have to happen like it for Cobo Lopez, but he simply can't do anything from that far back. Oh, he clatters the wall on the inside of the hairpin. That will be all she wrote. That will be Naveed Hussein in the number 4 coming across the line to win round number 5 of the Touring Car Challenge here for RaceSpotTV Friday prime time. A well-driven race under quite a lot of pressure at the very end there.
Yeah, you're saying it, Naveed Hussein under pressure doesn't crack. Great pace by him, defends well, and Cobo Lopez in the end makes the mistake. It hits the inside barrier, but great job by both drivers.
And there was a big clump of cars heading their way across the line for P10. Benjamin Gregory ahead of all of those cars there as they were trying to squabble in amongst themselves through that final sector to see who finishes the last car inside of the top 10. Pretty much everyone has headed their way across the line, apart from Jack Johns, and I'm going to give credit where credit is due, because Jack Johns basically got deliberately taken out of this race. But he's continued to keep at it. He got himself back out there, getting the damage repaired, and he will come across the line as the last driver on the leading lap as well. So that's at least a little win for Jack Johns, as he'll come through now and take P number 18 in this event. So there we go, fantastic to see that. But yeah, that was a pretty high pressure affair there, Stefan. We weren't really expecting that coming into this race. What did we say at the end of last week? This race is either going to be a bit of a snooze fest, and everyone's taking it so careful that we don't get any good racing, or everyone's going to wreck each other in lap number 1, first sector. That almost happened today, but I'm glad it didn't, and we've had a great race as a result.
Yeah, exactly. We did get over that first lap shock, which was great because that, as you said, could have been very easily a road blockage from 5th place down. So great job on everybody to avoid that road blockage, and also a very great job by Corey Preston, realizing how broken his car was and immediately pulling over to the right side. But we have to say, this North American excursion that we're having right now in the midst of this season, it's gonna be even more interesting next week, because we're gonna go to Summit Point Raceway, and whenever cars go onto a rookie track, you never can know what to expect.
Let's have a look at the race results then from this one at Long Beach. Naveed Hussain takes the race win from Arecopa Lopez. Manu Riolago gets himself a podium. Pretty quiet race for him, as we see Will Redford, championship leader, in P4. Solid finish for him. Brandon Roseborough in P5 with Guillaume Diavera, in P6 with Joao Martino in P7. Yi Jing-an P8, although he might get a speaking to Nim Cross after this one. KM Heo in P number 9, and Benjamin Gregory in P10 here today. The rest of the field, the second half of the field, looks like this. Santoro Petro Zoliello, I'm sorry for pronunciation there, comes in P11. Wansi Lin in P12. Ben Abadali in P13. Dylan Freckleton in P14. Kevin DePrau in P15. George Simmons having a difficult event with damage early on, had to come down on towards the pit lane to repair that, finishes in P16. Taylor Lane P17. Jack Johns, basically our underdog of the day, I suppose, getting back out there with a damaged car and continuing on this race. Corey Preston getting involved in an incident early on, and Emil Nielsen did not actually take the start in the Audi, so it meant it was a Hyundai and Honda affair here today at Long Beach. So that is that here at the street circuit. But like you said, Stefan, next week we head to Summit Point, which is a bit of a different affair compared to this.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot more bumpy, and I think that's where we will once again gonna see some Audis in the mix, but probably because that Elantra is just such a long car compared to the Audi and the Honda, we might just see once again a Hyundai only affair.
Yeah, we might just see it like that, but well, that's going to be all that we have time for here then for RaceSpotTV Friday prime time for another race day here in the iRacing Touring Car Challenge. This series is always a bunch of fun to commentate every single week here on a Friday night on RaceSpotTV, and we do it again next week as we head to Summit Point Raceway for round number 6 of the championship. You certainly don't want to miss it. My name's been Connery Maddock, that's been Stefan Schlacker, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.